This is Adam Williams. You were listening or perhaps watching to another episode of Retail Redeveloped. Today is going to be a lot of fun. I'm cornered by two mattress guys, both named Mark. It's been a tough few minutes getting up to speed here because they like to riff off one another, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm joined by Mark Kinsley, CEO of Englander Sleep Products, and Mark Quinn, the president and CEO of Cibos.
Yes, Spink & Co. is an easier way to say that.
Perfect. Mark Kinsley, president and CEO of Englander, a top 15 U.S. mattress company founded in 1894, which is before many of you listening or watching this were born. I would venture to guess. Mark Quinn is the co-founder of Spink & Co. Farm-Grown Beds and VP of Key Accounts at Marketing for Sherwood Bedding, top industry blogger. The reason we're talking to him today is they have a new book out, Come Back to Bed, attract more foot traffic and make people fall in love with your store. Obviously, that's music to my ears. I love talking to brands about how they're staying relevant in today's insanely challenging time. I love talking to people that are adapting and morphing in today's kind of COVID-based reality. Dos Marcos, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. And which one, either Mark, I don't care which one. Tell me a little bit about why we're here and what you want to share with the audience today.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us, Adam. You are officially in a Mark sandwich. It's not going to get weird. It just
already
did,
weird.
Oh, no.
Weird.
Don't tell him that. It could very well get weird.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show. We love, we've done almost 200 episodes of our podcast. So we love being on with other podcasts. We wrote this book.
That was a flex.
That was a flex. So you guys didn't hear that I told them that I'd just done my 100th episode, and they were like, "Oh, that's cute. I remember those days. That's cute."
You'll get there. A little pat on the head. You'll get there.
That was a flex, Kinsley. He called you out. I got to support him 100%.
The reason I say that is because we've done that slog and it's super fun. It's a great way to be able to interface with people and ask lots of questions. And we're grateful to be here on your show. We like sharing some of the experiences that we've had in the mattress industry. And one of those experiences goes back into February of this past year, just before everything shut down. We were on the docket to give a speech at Nationwide Marketing Group, which has about 5,000 retail members. And we were going to talk to about 400 just mattress retailers in this room. And the president of that company of Nationwide said, "Hey, the number one challenge facing our independent retailers is driving foot traffic. It's always the challenge. So would you guys give a speech on driving foot traffic?" We said, "Absolutely." And so we did it in our crazy Dos Marcos type of way. But at the end of that speech, we said, "Hey, let's help each other out. Write down a foot traffic driving idea that actually worked for you. And if you put your email down, we're going to collect all those up. And by your one contribution, you'll get all these ideas from this room." And so we walked away with about 80 ideas that actually worked to drive foot traffic. And then COVID shut down the world. We walked outside in our downtowns and we looked around and said, wow, when you strip independent retail from a town and it looks like a ghost town, it loses all of its flavor. And so we had a gift at that moment, and it was the gift of time. And so the genesis of the book was independent retailers sharing with us ideas that actually worked. And during the shutdown, Quinn and I talked and we're like, "Dude, what are we going to do with this gift of time? We got to put this into a book that we can get in people's hands and help impact their businesses."
That's so cool. So I did the opposite. I went and mountain biked for 3 months and broke my hand. So I think that you guys had a much smarter use of your COVID downtime than I did. So walk me through a couple of the ones that just jumped off the page. We all have those moments where you read something that sounds so obvious once you read it from somebody else's hand. As opposed to, why didn't I think of that? So walk me through a couple of those that just punched you in the face that really struck you.
In terms of the traffic generation? Yeah,
Right.
I mean, anything from really cool stuff. Like we tell a story in the book of Chick-fil-A, and I love this one because, there was one of the owners of the local markets, Chick-fil-A is owned by one person. And so this guy was concerned about the other competitors, doing all these 2-for-1 sandwich deals. And so you had a decision to make. Either you're going to promote a sandwich and, do it for 50% off, or do a 2-for-1, or you can pivot and do something different. And this guy creates the coolest event. It was a daddy-daughter date night, right? So you go to Chick-fil-A, you take your daughter. They had white tablecloths, they had flowers, they even had conversation guide, Adam, because you think about a lot of dads, it's like, what do you talk to a 7-year-old girl about, right? So they had conversation starters on the table. The event eventually evolved into where they had strolling violinist. They had a limousine outside taking kids for
Only
rides.
freaking Chick-fil-A, man.
Only for you. But what happens is they start with one thing and then it grows into something else. So much so that they had to start taking reservations for the night. And so the thing that we talk about, and one of the big premises of this book is stop selling stuff, right? Because you're not in that, like, what business are you in? So you're either in the business of selling a chicken sandwich, or for this guy, he's in the business of making memories, like connecting to his audience in an emotional way that will make them the preferred place to go. And there's so many people probably in this audience too. We get so frustrated. You walk into how many mattress stores or shoe stores or florists or dentist office or restaurants, and it's the same crap. There's like very little differentiation. And so we celebrate that kind of guy. And Chick-fil-A did a great job. Another one was there's a group that wanted to do, well, look at Jordan's Furniture. We have a big cutout there. And they create all kinds of traffic. They have 300-seat IMAX theater in a couple of their stores. They have rock climbing walls. They have laser light shows. They have water shows. But that's what we even refer to as retailtainment. But give them a reason to come into your store. Either it's a charity or reason. Kinsley, tell the story about the story better than I do, about the dresses for prom.
Yeah. So our buddy at Kensington Furniture up in New Jersey, his name's Michael, and he's been on our show. And he had this event at his furniture store to give prom dresses to young ladies in need, who maybe didn't have enough money for a nice gown. And so what they did, and this brought in foot traffic, was that first they had the donation drive. And so anybody that had a nice, lightly worn gown that they could donate, they came into Kensington Furniture and they dropped it off. Then, whenever it was time to get fitted and actually get the dresses, all these young ladies and their moms and their families came into the store and they set up dressing rooms and turned it into a whole event. And they walked away with a free dress, lots of media coverage, lots of press coverage. And they got to go have a prom night that they probably never would have had, feeling like $1 million. And so it's just that level of creativity. And I tell you, it really comes back to purpose. If you have purpose behind your business, these are the retailers that we see consistently do the best. Right in your backyard up in Lake Norman, we have a retailer named Sweet Dreams Mattress and Furniture. They're world class. And, I've talked to Andrew Matman Schlesser many times about his origin story. So he started off putting on this mattress costume to run 5Ks to kind of promote the business. And so he was running along.
Sounds horrible.
Right. Especially whenever somebody starts yelling at you like, hey, what are you, a piece of toast? What are you, a giant bar of soap? So, but what they did was they started turning him into this sleep superhero. But what it did is it shifted their entire team's thinking away from selling mattresses to how do we, once every decade, one time a decade, somebody's going to be standing in front of you to buy a mattress. So you have one chance every 10 years to make a positive impact on their life and help them walk away with education and knowledge that can give them better sleep for the next 10 years, not just the mattress. And so they started thinking about the purpose behind their business, how to educate their consumers, how to give it meaning and emotion. And it shifts whenever your team's mentality shifts, your culture gets defined. And we say it's like culture is what you create or what you tolerate. And so when you're creating a culture of education and purpose, those are the retailers that do the best instead of just slinging goods.
And don't you think there's a obviously at the end of the day, we're also in the hospitality business. Anybody in the retail business is in the hospitality business. Don't you think there's just a thread of service that just kind of creeps through everything you're saying? I mean, you've got to kind of think about others as a little bit more than a transaction in everything that we're saying here. I mean, it really, like, you couldn't do it the easy way. Like Chick-fil-A ain't going out of business anytime soon. They could just keep status quo, but instead their steps of service are unlike, it's better than some full service restaurants when you go in there. and all the other examples that you're giving, it all smacks of service and servitude and kind of humbling yourself to think about people in a more sophisticated way.
One of the things we say often, and it's a pillar of everything that Kinsley and I do together. It's serve people. Like it starts and stops with that. Because if you're doing that, then you're ultimately that's sowing good seed, and you will reap what you sow eventually. So that's where we start and stop. But when you talk about purpose, and then you think about driving that into culture, which is what Kinsley just talked about, that's where the magic happens, right? Because if you're in the game of selling product, you will get a result, and it'll take you to a destination, right? But when you change that up and you become about serving the people and say, how can I really help the people coming into my store? It changes a lot. Not only does it change the outcome in terms of how they feel when they shop with you, but it also changes the outcome in terms of the retail salesperson. I don't know how many times we've consulted with retailers out there and they go, oh, we need to get more motivated people. I'll go, no, you don't. You need to hire motivated people and then give them purpose, because once they have purpose, they will drive themselves forward in a way that you could have never done on your own. And so when you make that the base foundation of what you're doing, it's amazing what can actually happen. And then so it's a transaction versus creating experiences like what Chick-fil-A did. And that speech Kinsley was talking about with Nationwide, we did a subsequent one after that. We talk about transformation, right? That's when it really gets tricky, because when people come into a store and they want to buy something from you, transformations, it costs you something. There's an effort that has to be made, right? So if you really, really, really are about better sleep, then you can help them transform into a better sleeper. What does that mean? That means you're gonna have to have a hard conversation with people. Stop drinking caffeine after 3 o'clock. Stop drinking alcohol at night until 8 or 9 o'clock at night, right? Well, I know, Adam. I know, Adam.
I don't want any trouble. Let's not get into my personal life, guys.
Yeah, right. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's a sacrifice that has to be made. You want to get in like beach shape. Man, you're gonna have to run. You're gonna have to lift some weights. I mean, there's a sacrifice. So so that's a whole nother level. But it all starts with purpose that can drive the experience, or if you're really lucky, a transformation.
Well, and we talk about this too. It's in the furniture and mattress business, especially whenever somebody comes in to your store, they're typically going through some sort of pretty significant transition in their lives. Maybe they bought a new house. Maybe they're remodeling. Maybe they got a lake house. Daughter's moving out and going off to college. Divorce. Somebody died. Like usually these are pretty major transitions that people are going through. And with transitions in people's lives comes uncertainty. So they're looking for a guarantee of an outcome, and they're looking for somebody to show them a little compassion, ask a few questions just to care. And when you are a business that thinks about transitions, you can win in those transitions. You can win the hearts of people in the transitions they're having in their lives. And you can, like Quinn said, you can, at that point, help them transform their lives in a positive way. So you can transact, you can take their money, or you can help them transform and become a part of their journey. And that's where you get lifetime value from a customer. That's where you get word of mouth marketing and all those residual benefits that otherwise wouldn't happen if you just take the cash and scoot them out the door.
So I look at COVID as being, gasoline on a fire. It's an accelerant, right? In my business, I'm in the retail world, a little bit less niche than you guys, a little bit more of a kind of broad brushstrokes of retail, as opposed to furniture mattress being hyper focused. But in my world, it's been a massive accelerant. I'm talking like 5 years and 6 months accelerant. Talk to me about how it has affected, your corner of the world, because actually home goods has been insanely resilient during this, because everybody's stuck at home. Everybody's like, you know what, my mattress sucks, my house sucks, my whatever sucks. Talk to me about what you guys have learned and how your worlds have changed in the past 7 months, as opposed to just retail at large.
Yeah, well, man, let's start with the physical environment, right? So when everything shut down, everyone was freaking out because this whole, hey, how are we going to keep the experience clean and make people comfortable? And you come into a mattress store and you lay down on a bed where other people have been laying and put your head on a freaking pillow that other people have had their head on. So immediately we start trying to solve for that and get like, imagine this, Adam, like a big paper towel roll, right? So you pull off a queen sheet of paper towel and you lay it on top of the bed so that people could lay on that instead of a mattress. Other turns out though, people don't even care. Like they, we got them shipped and everyone had them at retail, and then the consumers didn't care and they didn't use them. So that was an immediate thing. And of course they did the cleaning protocols, and that's like how it first started, I think. But then, of course, we saw a shift into e-commerce. So there's a lot of people that didn't necessarily want to go into a retail environment. And so one of our big sponsors, Podium, so they're like the mega great company about messaging platforms, chat, and all that, all in text messaging. So then that was perfect for us because we were able to push them forward. They did $50 million worth of transactions for brick and mortar retailers in the furniture and mattress space just through a text application, right? And so we started helping people find solutions to the problems they were facing. And then a lot of the independent retailers out there, they don't get the big money to go out, and they don't have a web development department. They don't, have an extension on their phone. They're hiring outside agencies to help them. There's some bad actors doing that stuff, right? So they were trying to figure out, how am I going to get online? How am I going to transact? How am I going to sell stuff? So that was an immediate thing that started to happen. So if you weren't already online, this was a wake up call, and they go, holy crap, like, my gosh, we should have been doing this all along. So that was a definite shift. But the big one, Adam, that Kinsley and I are convinced hasn't been really properly addressed, or the opportunity is still huge. If you think about it, the biggest concern human beings have today on this planet we're living on, is health. It's mental health and it's physical health, and sleep is huge. Like if you sleep better, right, then you get sick less often. Like that's a pretty big point.
I'm a different human on 8 hours of sleep.
No question. And then if you aren't sleeping well, lack of sleep mirrors a lot of what people would say is depression. And there's even some ties to Alzheimer's later on in life. So, if you have a product that people can use that, would actually help you sleep better and live better and live healthier, we would love to see our industry like tap into that more and make a lot of what they're doing, like that, make that a central point of the conversation.
And so do you not think your industry, so you just think there's a lot of chips left on the table as it relates to just spreading that message that it's more than just a mattress. It's part of a holistic health system.
We've been banging this drum for a decade, and it's crazy. I go back and look, Englander's been around since 1894, like you said at the beginning. We have a lot of old advertisements. And so I'll go back and look at advertisements from the 1920s. And some of these ads from the 1920s are saying it's not just about a mattress, it's about getting better sleep. But at scale, our industry hasn't taken that emotional, meaningful, life-changing message and owned it. Instead, sugar juice companies are out there saying, here's how you wake up. No, how you wake up is you get a good night's sleep. And we need to own that message, and we need to connect it to the health benefits because they're real. I mean, if you don't get enough sleep, your body produces ghrelin and leptin at the wrong levels. Those are hunger hormones that tell your body, stop stuffing your face, or I'm hungry. They're all screwed up if you don't get a good night's sleep. People that get 6 hours of sleep for 2 weeks. So if you get the average person, which is almost everyone, 6 hours of sleep, 2 weeks in a row, you operate as if you were legally drunk. So we here in this industry, like I said, have a chance every 10 years for people to come in and we have this message. It's sitting there on a platter, and we need to do a much better job of creating these sleep experiences and these sleep transformation environments that allow people to begin that education process, put it front and center, and connect it to the products we sell. Because here's the deal. If you're sleeping on a bad mattress, it impacts every moment of your life because you're tossing and turning at night, not getting good sleep. And then the next day, all day long, you feel it. So, and then if you have a bad mattress, it's keeping your pain alive. If you have a bad mattress, it's a horrible event to endure, and everyone knows it, but yet it's a grudge purchase. So they delay it. I don't think people would delay it as much if they thought about sleep in relation to the mattress and how much it's going to change their life. And we all know it. We all know it because just like you said, on 8 hours of sleep, I'm a different human being.
100%. So it's hard for me, other than maybe fitness, it's hard for me to think of a industry that's been disrupted as quickly as the mattress business. Like if you would have told me 36 months ago, 48 months ago, that everybody that I know would be buying their mattresses on a website without laying down on it first, I would have been like, what? That makes zero sense. Why would you ever do that? And then obviously the only reason I say fitness is because of Peloton. Obviously that was a complete shift in the whole mentality of fitness. What other industries, have you guys seen that have been disrupted like this, or do you think could be prime for disruption in this kind of way? Because it's unbelievable. I guess you could argue that if you could do it with mattresses, you could do it with anything. But I'd love to hear you guys' perspective of how that's changed your industry and maybe forward thinking, how it could change other industries.
Well, we think it changed it, but actually, Adam, we think it's coming back. Like, so, 20, maybe 30% of the volume was being done by e-commerce guys, but you're getting a lot of people that bought those beds online. And so the question is it good enough? Good
Are
enough?
they crap? I don't know. Are online mattresses crap? I have no idea.
Some of them are, but so what you get for $500 on Amazon or these other places, or $1,000, is nothing like a Spink & Co bed, which is what we make, that's grown on a farm in England. It's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, or Englander, the stuff that Kinsley does. You put our stuff up against that, it's like a night and day difference, right? And so the good enough mentality of the shopper, where you can buy a nightstand and throw the crap away after 6 months of use. So there is that. And so is a bed in the box a good purchase for some people? It really is for some people. But if you look at consumer segmentation, right, there's a lot of people who aren't going to want, who are not going to want that. People who get the idea that sleep is a big and important factor to their health, right? It's the luxury seeker. They're never going to do that. It's the person who is a health-minded person who's athletic or active, and they understand that comfort, that moment when they lay down on their bed. So we think we're seeing a little bit of a swing back, because when they buy these beds, it does not meet the long-term expectation of the consumer. And so then they're coming back in the market. And what we're hearing anecdotally is that they're really not going to buy another bed like that. So, and still keep in mind, 70% of our industry, at least, is still brick and mortar.
And what's funny, and I want to get your take on it too. I'm pointing at my screen like everybody else can see who I'm pointing at. That what you just said is actually pretty consistent with the rest of the retail world. You have the baseline that's going to do well, right? People want a $500 mattress, right? Because they have to have a mattress and they don't have any money, so that's what they're going to do. And then you have the higher end, what did you call it? Luxury seekers. I would even say like artisan, like the people that really value the craftsmanship of things. That market there's always going to be a market for that. All the middle is just completely screwed. Like if you're in the middle of those two, I'm probably not putting my money with you. So what you said does not surprise me at all. All right, Mark, numero dos, hit me with your take.
The middle is death. You're right. We say that a lot. Well, here's what happened at the beginning of the year. So we've got some good friends at goodbed.com. And out of all the mattress review sites, these guys have been involved in the industry. They serve consumers, they serve retailers. They're of the highest ethical standards. Most mattress review sites on the internet are a scam, and they're good at gaming Google's SEO. So, but I wanted to point out Goodbed because they do a lot of surveys and research. Beginning of the year, one of their standard questions is how many people are willing would consider buying a mattress online without trying it. And at the beginning of the year, it flatlined at about 40%. And so at the beginning of 2020 is what I'm talking about. So let me rewind here. At the beginning of 2020.
Right.
So then COVID hit. They asked the survey question again, I think it was in June. What percentage of people are now willing to buy a mattress online without trying it? 71%. So it had flatlined year over year, and they were not seeing any growth in the online space. So we were ready for that pendulum to swing back to retail, because we know there's not just one mattress for anybody, just like there's not one pair of pants for everybody. Your bodies are different. Your weights
Shout
are
out to Raleigh Denim. Shout out to Raleigh Denim.
But, right. Raleigh Denim maybe, but you got to get 32, 34. I may have to get 32, 32. Quinn's, he wears hammer pants. Who knows?
Did you just say that Adam was fatter than you? Is that what I just heard you say?
Taller? No, taller.
Hmm?
I
No,
said
you
he's
said
taller.
Adam, did you hear that?
Yeah,
34.
wow, that was a fat joke.
He's 32. You
It's
were
just my-
34.
The Zoom camera adds 10 pounds. Give me a break.
No, you say the waist size first, followed by the inseam. I said 32, 34 for him and 32, 32 for me. So, okay, now it's on the record. And I said, you wear hammer pants. You should have been more offended by that. So we know there's not one mattress for everybody, just like conceivably there's not one pair of pants for everybody. So we want people to go in and get the mattress that's going to be life-changing. And you do that by getting fitted for a mattress. And here's what I hear anecdotally, because I ask the question all the time. You bought a mattress online, a friend of mine, or just anybody I interact with, I ask, what do you think about it? Overwhelmingly, the response I get is, it's okay. That's the response that we want. No, we want people to be like,
Something we're going to use for
life.
like 30% of our life. Yeah.
And when somebody has the right mattress and it's improved their sleep, they're like ambassadors, like, this is life-changing. That's the reaction we want. And so, yes, things have shifted online. Just like you said, there's been a lot of gasoline on this fire. I think there's going to be kind of an elevation in the number of people that buy online, but it's going to settle back into a lower figure than that. We're hearing about 50%. So it's still a 10% lift, whereas we were seeing flatline before. So what do you do in those situations? You got to play your game. As a retailer, don't try to play somebody else's game. They're going to be better at it than you. So you don't want to hop into the online fray. So what can you offer that's different than what they're offering online? You look at that and you build value in it. And so many people are scared to do that. And that's really what our book is about. Like, how do you build value and make meaningful connections in everything you do? How do you position your business and differentiate it so you're not in the sea of sameness, or so you're not playing somebody else's game?
All right. So Mark and Mark, you guys have already been extremely generous with your time. I got two things for you. One, tell people how they can find out more about what you guys are doing. You guys are extremely active. Tell people how they can find out about the website, the podcast, what you guys are doing. Tell people how to interact with you.
Probably the best way is to head to dosmarcos.co. So we couldn't afford the M. So DOSMARCOS.co. You can find the book. You can find our podcast there. You can get connected with us. And we love hearing from people. Like, if you read the book, or if you listen to the podcast, if you have ideas, if we can help you out in some way, we're there. dosmarcos.co.
All right.
And I just wanted to say one last thing to your audience, Adam. As you're thinking about your business, just give this a thought and put it through your filter. I want you to think about your business and think about the social media you're putting out there. Think about it when you walk around your floors. Think about the kind of advertising you're doing. Think about the word of mouth that happens as a result. If there's not emotion connected to what you do, if you're not making people feel something, if you're not creating an experience for them to come in and that's better than what's online, guess what? You are not going to be around.
Dinosaur.
It's sad to say, but I'm telling you, trying to rattle your cage if you're listening to this, if you're not making people feel something about who you are, they don't have an affection towards you, and you're not creating excitement in some way, then that lack of connection to the consumer, that's where the death is. And they're going to go online, because why wouldn't they? You're not giving them a reason to come to you. So
absent of value.
You read my mind. You read my mind. I was going to ask both of you for one hot take on the way out that you want people to kind of that parting shot you want people to leave with. I think that was great. Kinsley, you're up.
Absent of value, people make decisions on price. And I would say, figure out a way to be first in some category that you create. It is the fundamental issue in business and marketing these days. And the 10-cent version of the story is, who flew across the Atlantic first? Charles Lindbergh. Who was second? Oh, the guy was better, faster, and by every metric. Nobody knows who it is, but we all know there wasn't a third person. There was only the first woman, Amelia Earhart. She created her own category where she could be first. If you could do that in your business and in your marketplace, you're going to stand out and you're going to have a much better chance.
Great parting shot. Dos Marcos, thank you so much. I want to take a second and just acknowledge you guys. You have a million things going on, but you decided to take a few minutes out of your day to talk to my listeners and share your wisdom, share your advice. I know that I took some great stuff away from this, and I know my listeners will too. Just want to take a second and say thank you guys for being on the show.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Adam.
Great being here.